When we picture the history of Christianity, our minds often drift to familiar scenes. We see grand European cathedrals, the Roman Colosseum, the Protestant Reformation in Germany. This narrative presents Christianity as born in the Middle East but destined for Europe. It suggests a westward journey. Jerusalem, Rome, Paris, London, the Americas. It's compelling and partly true, but it's profoundly incomplete. A historical half-truth. It overlooks a much larger, more diverse chapter. This focus erased 1,000 years of vibrant Christian life far from Mediterranean Europe, in Africa, and across Asia. For its first millennium, Christianity was predominantly non-European. Centers were not Rome or Canterbury, but Alexandria in Egypt, Antioch in Syria, Ctesiphon near Baghdad. While Western Europe struggled, Eastern Christian communities lived a golden age of theology, missionary expansion, cultural flourishing. They translated scriptures into Syriac, Coptic, Armenian, Ge'ez. They built monasteries, schools, hospitals, stretching from the Horn of Africa to the coast of China. This is the forgotten heart of the Christian narrative. Uncovering it is an act of restoration. It challenges Eurocentric history. It reveals forgotten empires, influential leaders, thriving cultures shaped by Christian belief. Not failure, but resilience and adaptation, living under the Persian Sasanian Empire, engaging with Zoroastrianism, then becoming foundational within the rising Islamic caliphates. This essay journeys back to tell that untold global story. We will trace expansion not west, but east and south. We will show rock-hewn churches of Ethiopia, ancient Christian traditions of India, missionary paths along the Silk Road. We will meet influential but little-known figures who shaped millions, and repaint the map of early Christianity more colorful, complex, and widespread. Before it was Western, Christianity was a world religion. The story of Christian expansion begins not with a journey west to Rome, but with an explosive eastward and southward movement from its cradle in Jerusalem. Immediately following the events of Pentecost, the apostles and their followers scattered, driven by both persecution and a fervent missionary impulse. While Peter and Paul are famous for their westward travels, other apostles such as Thomas, Thaddeus, and Bartholomew are traditionally credited with heading east. They followed ancient trade routes, arteries of commerce and communication that had long connected the Mediterranean world with Mesopotamia, Persia, India, and beyond. This was not a random dispersal. It was a strategic advance into the intellectual and cultural heartlands of the ancient world, targeting major population centers and diverse civilizations. One of the most important early trajectories was into the Aramaic-speaking lands of Syria and Mesopotamia. Cities like Antioch and Edessa quickly became major hubs of Christian thought and activity, rivaling and in many ways surpassing Jerusalem itself. It was in Antioch, a bustling metropolis of the Roman Empire, that the followers of Jesus were first called Christians. Further east, beyond the Roman frontier, the city of Edessa in modern-day Turkey became a legendary center of Syriac Christianity. According to tradition, King Abgar V of Edessa was one of the first monarchs to convert to the faith after corresponding with Jesus himself. While likely a later embellishment, this story reflects the deep roots and royal patronage Christianity enjoyed in the Syriac-speaking East from a very early stage, independent of Roman influence. Simultaneously, another path led south from Jerusalem into Africa. The Book of Acts tells the story of the Apostle Philip baptizing an Ethiopian eunuch, a high-ranking official in the court of the Kandake, the Queen of Cush. This encounter, taking place on the road to Gaza, is symbolic of the faith's immediate leap into the African continent. This was not a journey into an unknown wilderness, but into the sophisticated and powerful kingdom of Nubia, located in what is now modern Sudan. From there, Christian ideas traveled down the Nile and across the Red Sea, finding fertile ground in ancient civilizations that had their own rich traditions. Egypt, with its great city of Alexandria, would soon become a powerhouse of Christian theology, producing some of the faith's most influential thinkers and shaping doctrines for centuries. These initial movements established the three great spheres of early Christianity. The first was the familiar Greco-Roman world of the Mediterranean. The second, and for a long time the most populous, was the Syriac-speaking world of Mesopotamia, Persia. The third was the Coptic, Nubian, and Ethiopian world of northeastern Africa. For centuries, these three zones developed in parallel, each with its own distinctive theological language, liturgical practices, and cultural expressions. They were connected by trade, pilgrimage, and scholarly exchange, but they were also politically separate, living under different empires and facing unique challenges. Understanding this tripartite division is essential to grasping the true global nature of the faith in its first 1,000 years of existence. Long before the first European missionaries set foot on the continent, Africa was home to some of the world's most powerful and ancient Christian kingdoms. The story of African Christianity begins not with colonialism, but in the apostolic age itself. Alexandria, Egypt, the intellectual heart of this world, a global center of learning, and the Christian school, the Didascalia, a theological powerhouse. Thinker Clement, thinker Origen, thinker Athanasius. The Coptic Church developed a unique identity, Coptic language used in liturgy and scripture, a direct link between the faith of the pharaohs and the faith of Christ. Further south along the Nile, the kingdoms of Nubia, northern Sudan, southern Egypt, the Ethiopian eunuch. An early connection. 6th century Nubian kings formally adopt Christianity, Nobatia, Makuria, Alodia. They built magnificent churches and cathedrals, vibrant frescoes blending Byzantine and African motifs. Bishops, part of the Coptic Patriarchate of Alexandria. Ruins and murals at Faras testify to a rich, largely forgotten Christian culture, buried beneath the sands of the desert and the shadow of later history. The kingdom of Aksum in modern Ethiopia and Eritrea. Early 4th century and around Constantine's reforms, King Ezana declares Christianity the state religion, an indigenous choice by a powerful trading empire. Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo, one of the oldest state churches, preserved the Ge'ez language for liturgy. Canon includes books like the Book of Enoch, claims to guard the Ark of the Covenant, Lalibela's rock-hewn churches, Beit Georgis, and others. North African Christianity carries a profound sense of loss. The Maghreb, a Latin-speaking Christian heartland for centuries, Tertullian, Cyprian, Augustine of Hippo, churches once vibrant and numerous, Vandal invasions, Arab conquests of the 7th century. The branch slowly withered. Unlike Egypt and Ethiopia, the Maghreb's communities disappear through cultural change, social pressure, and conversion to Islam, leaving behind only ruins and the ghosts of a lost Christian world. While Christianity was establishing deep roots in Africa, an equally dramatic expansion was unfolding across the vast landscapes of Asia. The Apostle Thomas is the central figure in this story, revered as the founder of Christianity in India. According to tradition, Thomas journeyed to the Malabar coast in 52 AD. There he preached the gospel, established 7 churches, and was eventually martyred near modern-day Chennai. For centuries, St. Thomas Christians thrived in Kerala, integrating into the local culture while preserving their unique Syriac Christian heritage. They were a respected community, granted privileges by local Hindu rulers. fully part of the Indian social fabric long before the arrival of European colonizers. This eastward movement was not limited to India. The primary vehicle for this expansion was the Church of the East, often pejoratively labeled Nestorian by its Western rivals. Based in the Persian Sasanian Empire, this church was a missionary powerhouse. Its monks, merchants, scholars embarked on one of the most remarkable missionary endeavors in history. They traveled the legendary Silk Road, the network of trade routes that connected the Mediterranean to China. Along this perilous path, they established Christian communities in Merv, Samarkand, and Turpan. Archaeological evidence, including gravestones inscribed with Syriac crosses and manuscripts found in desert caves, confirms a flourishing Christian culture deep within Central Asia for centuries. The most astonishing chapter of this Asian mission was its arrival in China. In 635 AD, a Persian monk named Alopen reached Chang'an, modern Xi'an, the magnificent capital of the Tang dynasty, then the largest and most cosmopolitan city in the world. He was welcomed by Emperor Taizong, who, after examining the Christian scriptures, issued an edict of toleration and even ordered the construction of a monastery in the capital. This remarkable encounter is documented on the Nestorian stele erected in 781. The stele, inscribed in both Chinese and Syriac, details over 150 years of Christian history in China, listing bishops and monks and summarizing Christian doctrine in a language that blended it with Buddhist and Taoist concepts. For over 2 centuries, the Church of the East had a recognized presence in China. Monasteries were established in several provinces, and Christian texts were translated into Chinese. However, this promising beginning was not destined to last. In 845, Emperor Wuzong, a fervent Taoist, issued a decree suppressing all foreign religions, including Buddhism and Christianity. The church was dealt a devastating blow from which it never fully recovered in China. The story of Asian Christianity, much like that of North Africa, is one of both incredible success and eventual decline. It demonstrates the faith's remarkable ability to cross cultural boundaries and adapt to new contexts, but also its vulnerability to the shifting political tides of empires.